Welcome to the future of less work, where we're piecing together the transformation of work one conversation at a time. I'm Nirit Cohen, and today we're zooming in on a small document with a surprisingly big story: the resume. AI generated content in resumes is up 45%. Tailored resumes are down 27%, and over 60% of job seekers are leaning into bold visual designs, even if it means confusing the automated filters known as ATS, applicant tracking systems, that often decide which resume gets seen by a human. So, what's happening here? Your resume is no longer just a record of what you've done, it's a reflection of how prepared you are for a world where personal branding, automation, and AI are reshaping the rules of opportunity. It's a signal, not just where you've been, but how you adapt, how you think, and how you want to be seen. To help us decode what's really changing, I'm joined today by Volen Volkov, co founder of Enhancv, the platform behind the report that surfaced these trends. Together, we're going to explore the future of self presentation in a world of work that's anything but traditional. Volen, welcome to the future of less work.
Hi. Thanks for having me here.
So, before we dive in, I'm actually curious, why did you decide to tackle, of all things, the resume?
Um, More or less, it's a personal story, probably for all of us, the co-founders of Enhancv. But like if even if you look at like basic mathematics, the resume or the CV, how people call it in Europe as well, this is where most of the people get rejected during the job search, and sometimes just tiny mistakes can play a huge role of you not getting a job. Um, I think it's very hard to represent yourself. Its resumes have a more than 500 years of history. The first resume was created by Leonardo da Vinci more than 500 years ago, and many people think that the resumes will disappear, which might be the case, but there is still going to be this problem of, okay, how do I represent myself? And yeah, I find it really bad when people are very good in something, but they don't have the skill to properly lay down on a piece of paper or anything else.
Well, which
And
is really, really hard, right? And you said that there are a lot of tiny mistakes. So give me examples of tiny mistakes.
probably the biggest mistakes that people used to do in the past, and now not so much probably with AI, but is to how to properly make their, all of the experience and everything that they have done a bit more tangible, a bit more result oriented. I know that it might sound like a cliche, but this is the biggest problem when it usually comes to people: how to really show what you have achieved, with who, like how have you changed the KPIs? Like was it only you? Was it like a bigger team? And basically, speak more about achievements rather than responsibilities in any of your resume sections to make it every fact a little bit more tangible.
Yeah, I always say that, don't tell me what you want to say about yourself. Show me that you are what you say about yourself, right? That's a big difference. Here's where I worry though, and you talk about AI, right? It feels like there are all these tools and templates and AI generated resume content, right? Which on the surface sounds like not just productivity, but like you say, fixes the problems. But isn't it risky to let a tool write your story? Don't you lose the essence of who you are and what you want to convey?
That's a very good question. Probably let me explain a bit about Enhancv in order everyone to know why I have, you know, uh, like the story behind my opinion. So we are a resume builder that exists since 12 years, and the thing that we were mostly focused on is providing content help via different algorithms, via what other users have written in their resume, via like public resumes on the web. So we've analyzed your content, and based on like some very specific mistakes, we suggested you what to write. And even if you like before starting to write, we already have like a very personalized suggestions for thousands of job offers out there. So I think content like is the hardest part in creating a good resume. um, and then like back to your question, yeah, can you lose a lot of your personality and how risky is that? I would say that we're still in the very much of the you know of the AI, how it's going to shift all this. Um, and yeah, I can give you like a lot of probably later I'll give you some facts, but my personal opinion is that AI it's more helping the job seekers in terms of writing rather than the opposite thing. You can see that just on like any job application platform, the time spent on users has actually increased rather than decreased. Which, if you think that AI is shortcutting what you write on a resume, it should mean that you spend less time. Then the question
Okay,
is
so you're
why.
saying users are spending more time with the AI powered platforms to tailor their resume, not the other way around.
Not only to tailor, but yeah. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that previously for users, it was very hard to tell a story.
Yeah.
Usually, there were examples, but now you can just go and like OpenAI or anything else, or also like a lot of the resume builders, they offer that, and just type simple sentences, and it gives you hundreds of examples how to say that, and you can ask again and so on. So basically, this is a hard process for job seekers. It's very stressful. It's the second most stressful thing in the world is to look for a job, and creating a CV, it's hard. I've been 12 years into that, and I very rarely meet people who are like, "Oh, I cannot wait to start writing my resume." So yeah, the AI actually helps you of like how I present this information, for sure. um, I think the bigger risks actually when it comes to the career space in AI, they're on the other side. They're on like what's happening on the how resumes are screened, and like what's the process after that.
Oh, okay. We'll get there in a moment, but I want to
Okay.
stay with some of your data. So before I actually ask you about this tailoring statistic that jumped out at me, I still want to talk about the AI tailoring in the sense that maybe when I look at social media and I write on Forbes and and I'm active on social media and I can tell the comments and posts that are AI written. You can tell. I don't know how I could explain to you that I can tell, but I think there's it's almost like there's a non-value add element or non-personal element to them, that they're very polished, and I wonder, and frankly it does make me think less of the person when I feel like they've generated an AI generated content that doesn't necessarily speak for who they are, and what they really think about. It's almost like they really took it to the extreme of the shortcut. Do you do you think there's a line you need to be careful not to cross and that you end up getting penalized because you said 50, almost 50% of the content's tailored by AI.
Yeah. uh Absolutely, yes, that there is a line, for sure. You should be very careful not to use words that are you know not use that much, like the structure of your sentence, not to like put a lot of keywords in it, not to put like on every bullet a number and to make it like super tangible. Of course, that's very important. um, but still, what you've said, that it's you reading it, and I think that's the thing. The resumes are starting to be less and less read by actual humans. And if we just look at common sense, we humans are very subjective. We like certain things more or less. And AI, it's very okay. AI could be also subjective, and there is like a lot of research into that for sure. But it's at least it's objective based on the data it gets, for sure. You're still compared to other applicants. um, and the other applicants are the data that basically helps that those algorithms move. So yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is that the rules have changed for sure for job seekers. And I would advise people to use AI when it comes to creating their resumes because that helps them for sure. And I think there is more benefit rather than risk. And I think just yeah, it's you should just be careful of like
Yeah.
not
Okay. So,
over.
like everything, make sure it's still you and your language, and you're not telling a story that you think
Yes,
would fit
absolutely.
the job, but it's not you anymore.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
what's the deal with tailored resumes down 27%? That one surprised me because we've been telling candidates for years that that one size fits all doesn't work.
Yeah, I think to be honest, I'm still not sure why this is happening. Um, and but I have few explanations. Nowadays, nowadays people apply for nowadays the job market is very tough. It's way harder to find a job. Many reasons behind that. All this started, after the COVID. So and that again different reasons, a lot of people have started working remotely, and basically now you compete with people from different locations and things like that. So yeah, currently it's super hard to find a job, so people keep sending a lot of resumes, for sure. And it's hard. I mean, like, if you have sent, like, in the past only, I'm just giving a number, 10 resumes. And if you can, now it's much easier to tailor 10 resumes rather if now you're sending 100 job applications.
So you're
So,
not tailoring because you're sending a lot more, but are you also sending a lot more because you can? Because with templates and AI, it's very easy to generate a lot more. Somebody
um,
told me that, you could end up having, somebody told me that you could end up having like an application for a registered nurse and get a taxi driver because it's like so easy to send resumes that people send them without thinking.
yeah, it's exactly, it's easy, but you also need to do it when you're looking for a job. And the amount of job applications that you're sending, it's also increasing. So but still, if you need to tailor a resume with all of the AI tools here, and we work a lot at Enhancv to provide you a very easy to use tailoring. It still takes you time. I mean, like, you have to enter the job description, you have to fix things, you have to download a new resume, rename it, then store it somewhere, then remember what actually happened with this resume, because people are going to ask you, or there might not be even people. You might even receive, like, a form to fill or things like that. So what I'm trying to say, for me, the biggest reason is that not that people have started tailoring less resumes. If you think it with a common sense, it's just people have started to send a lot more of the resumes, and a lot of reasons behind that. If you Another consequence of the AI is that now you compete with more people. Previously, um, you know, uh, blue collar jobs, they didn't require resumes for a lot of them. But nowadays, everyone can create a resume just in seconds. I mean, like, they can go type in a little bit about themselves and they have a resume. So nowadays there is not an excuse not to have a resume. So yeah, a lot of jobs are bombarded with resumes. So that means that people are sending more
Okay, so
applications.
so that's why you brought up the other side, right? So it almost feels like my AI is going to talk to your AI, you know. Um what's the value in that? How does hiring happen if AI created the content, AI tools read the content? Where's the person?
That's a very good question. And I think yeah, probably I was also very romantic as, when I was younger and I started the company, and I thought that, always the best person is going to be hired for the right job. But hiring is a very subjective thing, and it's always going to have its problem. And that's why that there isn't that much of a big player out there in our industry. And that's what I love in our industry, and also hate. Basically what I'm trying to say is that it's super hard to get a job, and I don't think that with or without AI that's going to be fixed in one way or another.
So What's the one piece of advice that you wish every candidate understood in terms of the systems that are going to read their resume?
Um, so that's a long topic. Let's start with probably, in my perception, what people usually think, that there is some ATSs out there that they're reading your resume. Um, and to give a little bit of context on that, um, we are one of the most used resume builders nowadays compared to other resume builders, and we test our resumes a lot to most of the used ATSs out there. We also embed the data into the PDF, so actually the data is not lost. And those ATS is basically what ATS is like the biggest thing. Actually, what people should be afraid is the parser, which basically reads your resume and decides whether it has a probability how much it could read from a single resume. Usually that.
Which is really where the whole keyword thing came up, right? I mean, historically,
Exactly.
we told employees, keep it to one page, make sure you put the keywords in because there's a system there that's reading your PDF and deciding yes, no, or like first
Yes,
round yes,
exactly.
no. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So that's where the huge most of the people were scared, the parsers. And of course, it's very hard to create a parser that reads every resume out there, because resumes are different, as we people are all different. So we've tested a lot of resumes, and we continue testing a lot of resumes. We also have another product called Resume Checker that allows you to upload a resume, and we tell you what's the parse rate for this parser and for this parser and for this parser. We give you different percentages and so on.
So when you say parser to people who are not in the industry, you're basically saying different companies are using different systems to screen your resume. And you are testing the resume format against these systems to tell me if my format has a high or low likelihood of being properly
Yeah.
screened for the right keywords.
Yes, exactly. And also not I'll go to the keywords, but I'll first I want to spend time whether actually the parser can read your resume, can
Okay.
extract all of the information. And when I say 70%, I mean they can extract 60% of the information, and there is information that they cannot extract. They cannot
Why
read it,
is
even
that? Why wouldn't they be able to extract information?
because. And that's uh, I want to not to scare everything, that has happened way in the past. Nowadays the situation is different, but basically, if you put, I don't know, an infographic, I'm going to give an extreme example, but if you
Yeah.
put an infographic on your resume, for sure, like parsers are not that smart. Probably nowadays they can do it, by the way. but but yeah, what I'm trying to say, that if you put like some very strange font, for
Okay,
example,
so actually you're telling me if you got really creative in how you
exactly.
structured your resume thinking that it'll make you stand out, actually the opposite might happen. We might not even be able to give the right information to
Yeah,
the system.
exactly. But uh, I would also run away from all of the myths that are out there. Don't use it to call a resume, because one of if you look at very honestly, LinkedIn, if you export your LinkedIn profile as a resume, they have their option. It's a two-column resume, and believe me, every parser out there, it's reading 100% of your LinkedIn resume. So
Yes.
they optimized for two-column resumes also. Another advice, colors, um, using colors, it's not helpful. Doesn't matter. I'm not saying make your resume yellow and purple and things like that, but like, we keep testing those things for
Okay.
sure.
What about
I,
the visual elements? Are they hurting us or
if
helping us?
you if you use icons as a symbols, that that they have a font number behind that, it's okay. In general, a good test, and again, that's in the past. Nowadays ATSs are way smarter, and they can analyze the whole content, the whole content with the context behind that. But a good way to test whether your resume it's going to be parsable, it's just if you copy paste the content. If you copy it and if you paste it in, like in a Word document or anything else, and think whether and look whether everything that you have copied is in the new document.
Okay, interesting. All right. Okay, so you keep saying, okay, nowadays it's changing. So what is changing on the side of
Yeah,
the organizations that are screening these increasing number of resumes?
yeah. And when I'm changing, by the way, I'm saying that it's changing quickly, and what like we talk about today, it might it might change in the future. But probably first to continue the topic with the parsers. And nowadays parsers are much smarter. They can even, for example, if you have a 5 column resume and it doesn't get parsed correctly, I mean, like, um, you know. uh,
Like the lines get out of sync, like at a table.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is what I'm trying to say.
yeah,
AI, it's way smarter to understand that and to put it back in order
yes.
for you. So even those things, and it analyzes now way better your content, what you're trying to say, and it compares with other people in similar positions. So probably they think, hey, if you have 10 years experience in X, then probably you have A, B, and C as well. So I'm not going to advise people, okay, now start to do very creative things, because actually that's also worth it. It's not worth it in terms of design, because resumes are getting less
That's
and
what
less.
it sounds like. I mean, from what you're describing, it's probably better to invest a lot more in making sure your true value and experience and potential come through in the words you write than in formats and other stuff that would actually potentially hurt.
Yes, and I think it's always like even 10 years ago, I would advise you to put more time into in the content, and showing who you are and what you've done in the best possible way.
Yes.
But yeah, what I've said is that I'm not advising people to go like very much creative, for a couple of reasons. One of it is that like you spend time on that, and at the end of the day, your resume, it's not going to be read by someone like very it, until a certain point. No one is going to see the design
Yes.
of your resume. um, but yeah, if we speak more broadly about how AI might hurt you, and as a job seeker, so yeah, first, the market is bigger for sure, and other applicants, they have better resumes as well, uh, for sure. Like they just with they can copy paste their resume to OpenAI or anywhere else. Enhancv, with single click, we provide you with, okay, those are the mistakes, here are a few suggestions how to fix
So
them.
you're going to fix my resume and you're going to fix everybody else's resume. And we're all saying the same thing to the hiring manager. So how does the hiring manager choose?
Um, that's another, yeah, the next thing, how the hiring manager choose. Basically, it I I even think that in the future it might not be a hiring manager, at least for, you know a huge part of the process,
Yeah.
because
I should have
if you
asked. So how does the AI for the company choose? Right.
yeah, because if you look at very logically, it's not a ABC process when it comes to hiring, but it's not very hard, like all these things that you've wrote in your resume, to be proved by an AI. I mean, first,
How?
uh, of course, first there is like a lot of information about you on the web.
So
So
your online presence matters. So if you're telling me that you're really good at writing code, but I looked you up and there's nothing of yours anywhere on GitHub or any other place, you'd say, not sure this person's.
exactly, yeah. So this is the first thing. The second thing that I'm trying to say is that like, it's very easy also for hiring managers, and I'm again an extreme example, to put your resume in OpenAI, and to tell me, okay, generate me a script for an interview. I want to double check every detail. Give me a couple of questions for every detail out there that this person has done. And this could be further automated. And you could have like a couple of rounds of screening even before you spoke with a recruiter. So what I'm trying to say is that,
So
okay, you
are you seeing automated screening as a part of the
Uh,
process that wasn't there so much in the past?
yeah, of course. And basically, what I'm trying to say is that previously, nowadays, you have to be much more careful what you write on your resume, because someone is going to ask you in one moment, for sure, and you should be prepared. And for me, that's the best thing, to spend time on your resume, because you feel way much more prepared, and you really think about it, and you know what to expect in the future. Okay, not what to expect, but you feel more prepared for what's
And you're
going
you're
to.
saying, okay, be confident that if you said you can do something or you said you did something, and somebody will ask you questions because AI will help them generate those questions, right? You
Exactly.
are able to answer.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And another thing that it's kind of hurting, it might be also a positive and a negative thing, as I've said in the beginning. AI, it's way more objective. So that means that a lot of the subjective things that hiring was done in the past, but the things that actually we like in each other, but we don't often admit, to be honest. We might see someone, I know, studying in the same school that we've been studying, or I don't know, having like a same interest in something, which is quite normal. And I don't think, like, we're humans, you cannot make it 100% objective. But now with AI, that's possible. So of course we should continue talking about ourselves and thinking, okay, what are the things that we're best of, what are the things that we're most proud of, how we've all, like, the moments that, like, in our life that probably defined us most, and have those answers. And if we can, probably it's also a good idea to include them in a resume. But yeah, nowadays we should think way more of, okay, if this is the company, how can I get there? What's their job description? What's their values? What they speak of, what I think they might look for. What are the people? Can I look them in LinkedIn that have previously worked in that position? What's their career path? And now, okay, AI can help me get that information, can help me, give me advice, how can I add certain things based on what I feed. But for sure, nowadays we should be way more trying to really think for each job, how we present ourselves in the
So,
in the
so
best
you're
possible
and
way.
you're back to tailoring. You're basically saying ultimately, if you don't spend time thinking through even which AI is going to read this, what they might be looking for, is not a mechanical keyword thing, right? It's trying to identify a fit, the kinds of questions they will ask, the kinds of maybe priorities they will give different things that you did. And we're back to tailoring.
Yes, yes, we're back to tailoring, for sure. But what I will also want to say is that at the end of the day, you not being hired doesn't mean that objectively you are a worse candidate. Hiring is still very much subjective. I mean, like, okay, if you choose someone who is, closer to the location that you're hiring, that
Yes.
doesn't, okay, that doesn't make you the worst candidate in terms of skills, for example,
Which
or
kind of
the
gets me,
experience.
I was actually thinking, do you see like generational language? So for
Um,
example, things that, the way I would describe myself having done something and the way you would describe yourself having done the same thing and they would show up differently.
no. The one thing that we see, probably that it's interesting, is that men are were more likely to use AI when it comes to creating a resume.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, and of course, women are way more likely to underestimate themselves, even when it comes to not only resumes but everything later down the process of
Yeah,
of
which is data we've seen for a really long time for hiring
yeah,
trend, and that's not changing, right? That's
yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah.
So, Fola, do you think that the resume will last, or do you think that the more we work digitally, ultimately, what really matters is your online footprint and the resume will disappear?
Um, when we started the company, a lot of people told us, "Hey, the resume is disappearing." And my opinion has always been it hasn't changed. The resume might disappear for sure, although it's 500 years old. Um, but the but people would still have the very same problem. How do I represent myself in the best possible way? So even if it's something else, even if you have to fill a form for each job position, or even if you have to record yourself, or I don't know what it might be. Um, the yeah, you cannot put a person that much into like you should have people should prepare something during their job
Yeah.
application
Yeah, I'm
for
almost
sure.
thinking when we have digital personas, right, or digital twins, I can send my digital twin to talk with your digital twin hiring manager, and I still would need to tell them who I want to show up as, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So, okay, thank you. This is really interesting. Where do you think this will be? And I mean, if you could imagine, 5 years out, what do you think you'd be working on?
Mm, very honestly, I don't know.
Yes,
I think
hard
it's
to say.
very hard to predict.
Yeah.
On the other side, I, you know, AI has created a bit of, honeymoon that everything is going to be AI. I would advise, jobs, especially job seekers, not to be that scared of AI. It has changed a lot of things, but the rules of the game are still the same. Okay, for sure nowadays the market is bigger and more competitive because of the AI, but the rules of how do I present myself in the best possible way, the basic rules are still the
Yeah.
same. So yeah, on one side, I think that yeah, AI it's a threat for sure for even for a lot of companies into the career space. Um, for others, it's a huge opportunity. Um, but yeah, things might dramatically change, but I doubt that the basic things would change that much.
Yeah. So who you are, what the value you bring, how do you tell your
Yeah,
story,
yeah.
those are gonna stick around. Wow. Thank you, Volen, for joining me today. For more about Enhancv and the research and tools that we mentioned, check out the links in the episode description. Thank you for joining us on The Future of Less Work. And remember, your best people do not work because you tell them to, not because they have to, or because you measure them on it. They work because they want to, because by working for you, they're achieving their own purpose in life. Till next time.